but action is another thing. So when we get this advice, let's take it serious. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Amen. All right. I have not read in any manual how the church arrangement must always be, whether the beginning part, the Sabbath school, and then the divine service. But I know that there seems to be a sanctuary, biblical sanctuary services miniature. The holy place, the outer court, the holy place, the holy of holies, and all of that. But sometimes in some other churches, let me give a practical example with all humility. In Dakar, Senegal, I was there for just 1 month. But I discovered that the church there didn't have Sabbath school session in terms of physical arrangements. It was an international church. They didn't have that Sabbath school session where Sabbath school people would sit, divine service would sit separate and all that. Because I feel that it was a function of space and availability of landed resources. So they didn't also have children department. So what they do was to worship together, children and adults. So the beginning part of the Sabbath school, then during lesson study, just as the adult church will separate to go and study in different units, children will go and study their own. And then when they return and it's time for divine service, first of all, they will now minister to the children. Somebody comes and sit on the ground in front of the entire church and then tell them Bible story, preach to them for like 5-10 minutes, and that does it, and the church begins. But for me, there is no, since I've not read anywhere what the church structure should be, it must be here. This sitting arrangement must be here, and all that. We can always, I don't know if that is addressing what you asked, okay? We can always vary it. When you reference the Hope Channel, you discover that the sitting arrangement was changed even. So there is nothing wrong with if you have pews. This is an entire church. This is the pulpit. And everyone is facing this way. And then only this one is facing. Sometimes too, in Silicon Valley, the sitting arrangement sometimes is slanted in such a way that the pulpit is in a place where it's as if people are telling their family stories. But some of those arrangements were informed based on the programs that they intended to run. You know, family ministries program, they want to change the sitting arrangement. But I have been in a church, okay, I've heard an elder of a church fight and make arguments over the fact that the youth wanted to do a program and they were supposed to make a presentation here. And then the church deacons were instructed to remove that podium. The man quoted from the beginning of Ellen White writings to the last book that Ellen White wrote before she died, only trying to prove that pulpit stand there on this place is sacred and must not be moved. So again, it depends on the mindset of the people who are worshiping there. It depends on how flexible they are in their thinking. Earlier I talked about new wine and in an old wine skin. So, but as communication directors or associate or secretaries, you don't fight over that. You just educate, and educate. In fact, you can just find a leadership that will embrace that kind of ideas. But like Pastor will always say, it is not possible for you to have from beginning of your ministry, whether as an elder or as a member or as a pastor, a president or a pastor or elder that will always frustrate you for all the years. One day, the fellow that knew Joseph will be out of the office. Then the one that knew not Joseph will come. And it can also happen the other side of it. So consult, make friends with those leaders, and then help to ensure that you collaborate with them in every suggestion you make. And don't fight it. Don't fight it. Next question, or if I have not addressed it.
All right, next question, Gilbert. Same microphone to.
We say in churches
doing Sabbath school, probably you see somebody from the choir will just walk to pass a paper to start talking to the superintendent. Some might just come from the other angle, do the same thing. Doing announcement, Elder will just go to the front of the church, start talking to the person giving the announcement for about 10, 15 minutes. Now, doing divine service, choir, who is doing choir time, the choir seat is there, they will leave the seat, turn, go and sing. After that, they will come back and officiate, and we are streaming live. How can we stop all this kind of movements doing church service when we are streaming live?
You know, this one now is a practical thing, and thank you for bringing that up. It has been an issue in various churches where it affects even the streaming of the program. So what I advise is that that person is not the only person in that part that he or she is going to sing in. So if you're here for the divine service, please stick there. Let the other people minister. God will still empower them to be able to sing and deliver. However, if you have people like G Signal streaming the program, and if they are preempted, if they are informed, if they are prepped, kind of, what happens is that G Signal will blind it with the flex of the church program. Am I correct? You just take it off. Once they notice, if they are attentive, once the people want to go up the stage, they will just switch to that this thing. But it's not a healthy practice. The issue of somebody is talking, as I'm talking now, you're coming to whisper to the person. In many of the churches, we have stopped it. That announcement must appear before the service. Not when somebody is there, you go and give the person a paper. In fact, recently, what we do on our website, myself and Brother Okay, is by Friday morning, if we don't receive your information, because we do on weekly basis, we update it every weekend. If we don't receive it after Thursday night, Friday morning, and we conclude it and share the link, forget it. It will be till next time. So communicators must ensure that they pass the information, appealing with people to always bring their information ahead of time. In fact, not just at the local church, even in conferences, of course, your conference communication directors, you notice that even before, for some of you who do monthly bulletin, are there people here who do monthly bulletin? Even on the day of workers' meeting, you are yet to receive information from your directors, true or false? So what we do is, so in certain quarters, is to make sure that we do it on weekly basis. If you're not able to bring it during this workers' meeting, don't worry. By next week, Friday, it will appear because we do it on a weekly basis. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So that hard copy printout makes it almost rigid that the pastors can only receive bulletin during the workers' meeting. So if you have a system automated in your churches or in your conference that people receive information as it is happening, then you can be able to remove those things. Once the person wants to come, no, we have taken the last one. Finally, on that point, you know that the last time, I think that should be the last time we did one-day prayer retreat here, that no choir was allowed to feature as we used to. This conference, it was just one choir that ministered. That thing made sure that not everybody, there were those people before then who would just come. And of course, Edazu is always rigid on that one. Who would just come? Please, let him sing, special song. They will just pass it immediately. It's not in the program, but they bring the person for special song. It's not in the program. So it becomes difficult to manage some of these things. But as we keep learning and relearning and encouraging ourselves, we will address it. It's a gradual process. It's not something that you just... my maternal home people, by the way, my maternal home is in Ngwaland here, Umadro, just behind this fence. They say, it is not immediately you cut a tree that it dries up immediately, right? It takes time for the water to dry up. So give it time and keep talking. It will change. Next question. Yes, sir.
We always make those rules and law, like the one you just cited, because even in my church it is also applicable. If you don't bring your announcement on or before Thursday, it will not fly. But leaders. We are working with leaders of the church, and let it don't look as if we are dragging anything. When someone comes to you and said it was an emergency, you get, and you said this is our rules, and there's no way we can take it, and the person goes to the pastor. You get the point? The person now, you've made it clear, and the person know that he or she has faltered, and the person moves straight to the pastor. And pastor now comes now with that written note and pass it to you in front of the church. Brother, this one. That's where the challenge is. And besides, I've, at least for some years now, I've been in communication. I would not have problem with other departments, but I must tell you one department I've been a problem till today. AWM. They always have emergency.
Women for Christ.
Pastor, they always have emergency. They'll give you an announcement now. You're doing the announcement, they'll come. Emergency. Because they know if you tell them you ought to have brought, and what they will tell you in that emergency is something they've received the information within the week. So in such situation, how do we handle it? Because now, pastor have asked you to announce it, and you say you will not because this is the standard.
Okay. Let me ask a question. All right? Let me ask a question. When a man is mad, what is affected in that man's body? The head. The hands are functioning well. The legs are functioning well. The tummy, every part of the body is functioning well. The only problem is where? The head. And it is the head that instructs the hand. So, if you copy-paste this analogy to your leadership, who should you target to control every other thing? In change, who should you target? The head. Target the pastor, target the president. And once somebody comes to you and say, do this, and you say no, because we have changed it, and the person goes back. If you have your leader by your side, your leader will say, but we have agreed. I don't know if you understand. That is that problem solved. Pastor Konu will somebody will just come to me or go to OK, and then for communication matters, because though I'm an executive secretary, I think I have a calling in the communication. So we work together in his department. So once we say no, it is difficult for Pastor Konu to say yes, because we are operating from there. And when he dare makes mistake and say yes, me and him will bounce on him, but not negatively. We have a way of, Pastor, but we agreed this thing. This is to not make these people to lose respect. So next time when they come, Pastor will say, is that what he said? No problem. Even if you want to talk to us later, it will be behind the back. I don't know if you understand. It will be behind the curtain. So always target the change. You are the one with the ideas, but it will be difficult for you to achieve it from the bottom. Are we together? For some of us who know how to bathe very well, where do you pour water first? You pour it on the head. So pour the water of new ideas on the head, and the body will respond accordingly. I saw Edazo's hand.
When we were talking about plan of work yesterday, we said make sure that you put training as part of your plan.
Yes.
Look for a reason to do training every quarter. So this AWM woman that you're talking about probably doesn't understand why she needs to bring this information early.
Ahead.
Well, organize the training. Take your time to explain the disorderliness, how it will be seen by a visitor in church, so that when they kind of accept what you're trying to drive, in the long run, it becomes easier for you to move them forward.
Okay. You received a flyer for a program within the week. I will not mention them, but there is a man and a woman side by side. That flyer, first of all, came to me. And I pushed it. I made some comments. But on the second thought, I said no. They will take it as if it is the leadership. I referred them to OK. But OK said yes immediately. And I don't know under what condition, but OK said yes to it. The person got back to me and said, OK said yes. I said, no problem. I withdrew. But I am the executive secretary. I don't know if you understand. But because OK has said yes, we are taking the yes. But inside of me, I know things that I had pointed out and all that. So the next question.
Thank you.
We are streaming this program. We are streaming this program. Recently, I've seen noticed that we are distracted a little. We are streaming this program. When you want to make
Our pastors, they are here with us.
Some of the pastors.
Some of our pastors, yes, they are here. I will also want them to carry on with the message that you're passing to the communication along, so that some of our leaders, like the elders, there are some churches that don't have pastors, so that they will also be oriented. Another one is land purchase. I'm trying to add to the one you said. Land purchase. I'm Monyangwa. Church annual Jafutala Ebade, but in Port Harcourt, mostly, most of our churches, if we are going, we used to go with two shoes. You have the one you go with and enter water, gutter. Then you have the one you wear in the sanctuary. When you are coming out, you remove that one and also wear your normal boots. It's not good, especially in that our Ripoko axis. It's not good. So, all in the name that there is no money. So maybe if this one, they say this one is millions, this one is in hundreds. You forget that what you're going, like the one I'm worshiping, every now and then they are busy reconstructing the road. So if they had added this money and had bought land out there, I don't think that all these things, sometimes when we have programs, people find it difficult to locate us. Where is the church? Now, where is the church? Sometimes you see some churches behind someone's bathroom. It's not good. Okay. So that one doesn't bring out the beauty you're talking about in the sanctuary. So let us encourage ourselves and our pastors and our elders to look for a land that is that is in a good site.
Okay.
Yes, that's a little contribution to that.
Okay.
Then we have this tithing issue. At a point in time, there was a...
What issue?
Tithe.
Tithing.
Yes, please.
Okay.
People will come out to give their tithes. Our pastor told us in one of the meetings that we held that the Bible says return, not come and collect. So if you are coming, that you should come and that's everybody seated will stand to come and drop the tithe. Some leaders frown at it. Even up to today, they don't do it. So they believe in going around collecting it. So it's not in uniform. Then this Sabbath school, just like my brother asked, is he in the our manual or in the Bible that you must all officiating ministers? There was one of the Sabbath I went to church, and my crew, the ones I was supposed to officiate with, I have wasted some time checking. No one is coming, and I was just the only one there. And you know, before a lesson study, it's not a big deal. It's something you come, call for opening and all those things, and then go into the lesson proper. I went, do you know that I was called? They frowned at it and said that what I should have done is I should have at least called other people from the church and say, come and go with me. So now my question was, is there any frightening object that is where I went to conduct this in prayer and ask the church to start lesson study? So I don't know, all these rules, are they really part and parcel of the ministry? Thank you, sir. Okay.
God is a God of orderliness. And those who worship him must also be orderly. Whatever thing you have mentioned in these last 2 points is a function of orderliness. By the way, judging from biblical point of view, bring ye all your tithes. What's the word there? Bring. Do you understand? though there are some understandings around this thing that informs the changes and varieties in doing it, you know. And I remember vividly when this matter was discussed at the union level. I was still a pastor then. It was, huh? I had become a pastor then. That's what I wanted to say. I had become a pastor then, and the idea was to give members opportunity of coming before the altar to tap the blessings while they drop. It wasn't actually from the perspective of ridiculing or whatever ideas people will have. In fact, another person even made a biblical position, took a biblical position that Jesus, who noticed that a woman, the widow, had given more, must have been within the ambience of that he sat in front, perhaps, and saw the woman giving. So his own argument was that Jesus couldn't have been the one collecting the offering or whatever it was called. But it was that he sat and they brought it, and then this man saw that she had returned. Jesus saw that she had returned joyfully and generously. So the idea is not from that perspective, but from the perspective I've just given. However, like I've always said, it is a function of information, communicating the ideas behind some of these things. And sometimes when it doesn't work, instead of using it to bust the church, you step down. Sitting down to collect the money does not make the person who has returned sitting down, does not make that person a sinner. Going out to give the money does not also make that person a sinner. So it is not a moral or a Ten Commandment thing. So when that information is passed and discussed and it is not well understood, you can soft pedal it, let the church sail, since it is not thou shalt not or thou shalt issue. Then the first point you made is a function of resources. In England, you know that there are a lot of lands everywhere. But you go to Omahia, you cannot find a strategic position of that church that you have found in Uhe, for instance, or Akpa or Sokwa. That strategic location, you may not find it affordable in Aba, Omahia, or Port Harcourt. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. By the way, this union secretariat here, who remembers how we were struggling to get here? So with development coming the way of that church, that road will be constructed. I'm not sure if the people saw that road as it is now, that you're complaining, and then they went there to buy the land. Though sometimes too, even this beautiful road that we are able to drive in is just now. Then the next 10, 15 years, if there's no palliative done to that road, it can also degenerate into that level. So somebody will then be saying, why did the union buy the land so and so place? So sometimes too, pricing factor is being influenced by the condition of that road. So if you're a good buyer and see that the road is bad, but it's cheaper at that point, that is from personal point of view. It is cheaper at that time that the road is bad. Once they pronounce that road has been awarded commission for construction, whether you're constructing it in the next 2 years, the price of that land will skyrocket. Who agrees with me? So that's the point. But let's keep praying for our members to make money such that they can bring out 100 million to buy 3+ of land on a choice location. And God will help us to get there.
Okay, I would want to close by, it's almost 3:30. I would want to close. I discussed with Pastor Alvin. What is not written down is easily forgotten. So he would do us the favor of gathering his thoughts, and we would share after now. I think he has answered all the questions that I asked the way I would have answered. The one that has to do with going to give the offering or going to return. I was here in the union when maybe I sat somewhere like here that day when the argument came.
Yes.
And by the end of the day, no biblical position was taken. It was go and do whatever works for you. So I've been in my church when they did that, you go out. And the way the people came out, the way they kind of choreographed the movement, it was so beautiful. So a visitor in church that day would have seen it and said, man, this is a fine way to collect offering. In my own local church, we sit down and they come to collect. Do what works for you. But just like he has advised, if God has put an idea in your mind and the rest of the world have not come to that level of understanding, please be patient. Be patient with them. Okay. Yeah, I think on his own lecture, that is what we'd say. A lot would need to be written down so that we can package it and send it to you. Yeah, this is a good place to close.
Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Please a round of applause for our pastor. Okay, so we want to, Pastor, thank you so much. You want to dash me 1,000? Okay, we have done justice to that particular one, making your church beautiful. And I'm sure that if you have more questions, when you get the slide, you can ask more questions. So we have Passetti is supposed to come in now. Okay, no, first of all, before we Passetti, we are going to have our, just a minute.
Okay, somehow the plan for the program is not going as exactly the way we planned it. Yesterday there were lecturers that didn't show up, lectures that have been carried over till today. So each time you see us putting our heads together to see how to make sure that we do things in a way that will keep your energy. Because I'll be leaving at 5, there are a few points that I just want to make from what we have observed here, from what has happened that we would need to take back. After today's program, during the closing ceremony, there are some official actions that Temple and Pastor Na will take. Now, I have noticed that amongst us, because we are contemporary people, we are technology people, we are the people who use the best techniques. I have noticed that the general problem that we have in the church, where when somebody stands up to make a contribution, he spends so much time in the background of what he wants to say before going to what he wants to say. It's like